So now some introductory remarks. Thank you all for joining us for this roundtable on Kashmir and the recent military confrontations between India and Pakistan. As most of you are already aware, this most recent escalation of military action between India and Pakistan began on April 22nd, when an armed group attacked tourists in the Baisaran Valley near Pahalgam, killing 26 men, one of whom was Nepali, 24 who were Indians, and one Kashmiri Muslim, Sayyid Adil Hussain Shah, who was shot and killed while trying to protect the tourists and stop the gunmen. After this tragic event, a militant group calling themselves the Resistance Front initially claimed responsibility for the attack, claiming it was done in order to oppose what they see as forced demographic change in Kashmir through the granting of Kashmir domicile status and increasingly settling non-Kashmiris in Kashmir. However, days later, the Resistance Front denied responsibility for the attack, claiming their digital platforms were victims of, quote unquote, a coordinated cyber intrusion or hacking as, quote, part of an orchestrated campaign to malign the Kashmiri resistance, close quote. Almost immediately, speculation ran rampant trying to identify who was really behind the attacks and what their real motivation was. Indian news media quickly circulated claims that the Resistance Front was in fact Lashkar-e-Taiba under another name, that Lashkar-e-Taiba is a Pakistan-based and Pakistani armed and trained terrorist group, and therefore that this attack was a covert operation by the Pakistani military to attack India and innocent Indian citizens. Some even speculated that this was a Pakistani covert operation performed in return for Indian covert operations behind the March 11 attack on the Jafar Express train in Balochistan, Pakistan. Pakistani news media circulated claims that this attack was actually a false flag. This attack in Pahalgam was actually a false flag operation planned and organized by Indian security agencies in order to blame Pakistan and initiate a military conflict in order to garner positive nationalist affection for Prime Minister Modi and his BJP party in India at a time when they are losing support, as evidenced in recent polls in the run-up to state assembly elections in India, and also at a time when the coming years will be pivotal in shaping the nation's political and governance framework. Needless to say, tensions between India and Pakistan escalated, with India downgrading diplomatic ties with Pakistan and unilaterally suspending the 1960 Indus Water Treaty that established water sharing of Himalaya-originating rivers between India and Pakistan. Escalation continued with troops exchanging fire across the line of control, and things escalated still further with India launching missile attacks on Pakistan-administered Kashmir and Punjab on 7th May, followed by cross-border air assaults by both India and Pakistan on each other's territories until a truce was declared on May the 10th. However, conspicuously absent in most of the reporting on these recent events are Kashmiris themselves. Kashmiris who have, by and large, been the ones injured and killed in these cross-border air assaults. Few seem to be reporting on how the Pahalgam attacks have been almost unanimously condemned by Kashmiris, how Kashmiris have been attacked and abused by vigilantes across India, how approximately 2,000 to 3,000 Kashmiris have been detained by Indian security for quote-unquote questioning regarding the April 22nd attacks. The detainees, including many members of the press and human rights workers, are included, and almost no one is mourning the loss of Kashmiri civilian lives amidst these military actions. Also lacking is discussion of the historical background preceding these recent events and how this history has shaped and reshaped the situation in Kashmir. And most importantly, unamplified are the thoughts and feelings of Kashmiris leading up to and throughout these events, which is why we are here today, to recenter Kashmiris in discussions of these recent events. Our esteemed speakers today will unpack issues of international law and human rights, the use of hate rhetoric to drum up support for war. They will speak about Zionist tactics borrowed by Hindutva. They will speak about the lack of press freedom. They will speak about the erasure and silencing of Kashmiri voices. We aim to focus our discussion on the impact of the recent attacks on the economy, demography, climate, life, dignity, and the very existence of ordinary Kashmiris in the context of the changed nature of Kashmir since 2019, the year Article 370 in the Indian Constitution was revoked. For those not familiar with this, Article 370 had granted special status to Indian-administered Kashmir, which meant, among other things, restricting property ownership and residency rights in the state for non-Kashmiris. Furthermore, we will confront the failure of the international community to contribute meaningfully to resolving the long-standing dispute over Kashmir, which has cost tens of thousands of lives for over 7 decades and has kept the region of Kashmir always on the brink of war. There is an urgency to find a just and permanent resolution of the Kashmir issue as per the wishes of the people of the region of Kashmir. Finally, we will address how demilitarization and disarmament under neutral global supervision is urgently needed to avert war and destruction, not only for the broader safety of the world, but for Kashmiris themselves, whose homeland and lives are the very grounds upon which these India-Pakistan war games are fought. So,